The procedure today is very formal. Unlike yesterday, we saw yesterday the great scenes in Johannesburg with all the heads of state coming and the speeches made about Nelson Mandela. Today is a chance for the people of South Africa to pay their respects, rather like when Winston Churchill died, George VI died, people queued in London just to go past the coffin. Here we'll have the coffin brought from the hospital through the streets, which they expect to be lined with people, an open coffin because his body has been embalmed, and then he'll lie there. First of all, the family will come, then members of the government will come, and then the public will be allowed in to file past.
The final stretch of the cortege journey, those are the lead vehicles coming along now. The body of Nelson Mandela behind them, borne on a gun carriage, a large police escort and a military honor guard lining the road. Extraordinary moments these for South Africans watching, for the residents of Pretoria, for the country as a whole, of course. I think perhaps we've just got time. I see that there are police, a fairly long line of police motor vehicles behind these cars before the gun carriage gets to us.
Mandela's body will lie in state there for 3 days, and the funeral procession will also be repeated on Thursday and Friday mornings. The Union Buildings are where the anti-apartheid hero was inaugurated as president in 1994. Members of the public will be given a chance to say their own personal goodbyes.
People are singing and dancing outside the High Court of Pretoria, which of course they will know very well is the area, the court where Nelson Mandela was sentenced in the very famous Rivonia trial, where he made those famous speeches about not wanting to be dominated, fighting against black domination and white domination. These are the people, you can see them in their some in their work clothes, some in their ordinary clothes, who just want to pay their respects.
The service brought together the leaders of two countries that have long been estranged, the United States and Cuba. U.S. President Barack Obama shook hands with Cuban President Raul Castro. The U.S. cut off diplomatic relations with Cuba more than 50 years ago and has imposed a range of economic sanctions. Networks around the world broadcast the handshake live. Some analysts said it signaled a step toward reconciliation.
The White House said it wasn't planned in advance, but not everyone in Washington welcomed the gesture.
And sometimes a handshake is just a handshake, but when the leader of the free world shakes the bloody hand of a ruthless dictator like Raul Castro, it becomes a propaganda coup for the tyrant.
The Secretary of State leapt to the president's defense.
The president's at an international funeral with leaders from all over the world. He didn't choose who's there. They're there to honor Mandela.
And on the streets of Havana, people have welcomed the handshake.
I think it was very good news. Hopefully it will open the door to better relations.
Peace and dialogue can exist. That would be the best thing for both countries, not just Cuba.
Last November, Barack Obama suggested that he would like to see better relations between the two countries. But the United States has maintained economic sanctions against Cuba.